Hey, so this video might be a little bit odd, but I wanted to respond to a few comments I get here and there about if I'm too positive or naive living here in Sweden. I guess I tend to talk a lot about the positive things here, although there are some videos out there where I experience some not so positive things. But I kind of wanted to make this video to explain a little bit why I might be quite positive about living in Sweden. So welcome to my channel. I'm Julie, I'm originally from Germany. I'm living in Sweden now for 1.5 years with my British partner and my 2 little kids, 4 years and almost 1 year old. And I talk about all things living in Sweden as a family of 4 now. So if you're interested in following along, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Okay, let's get started. So first of all, I don't think any country is perfect, but if you have the freedom and the opportunity to move to another country, I think you want to find a country where a lot of boxes are ticked for yourself. There are countries and cities I wouldn't want to move to, but I'm sure they are on someone else's radar. For example, Dubai or the US. If I just think of 2. So this journey is very personal. My thoughts and, what I wish for are quite personal, but it might resonate with some people. So yeah, I think it depends a lot what you're looking for and maybe also what your personality is. I made a video about, maybe who would fit into Swedish life the most based on their personality, so you can check out that video if you're interested. But yeah, before I want to go into the details, I just wanted to say you really have to listen to yourself and think about what you want. Of course, it doesn't guarantee you that this country or city you want to move to gives you all the opportunities you're looking for, all the ideas of how to live life. But if you can come very close to your kind of dream life, then you should definitely go for it. So when I did my research, I could see that Swedish life could align with what I wanted for my personal life. And now I want to reflect on these a little bit and want to see if it's too positive or, if it just aligns with what I wanted. And I have to say, I'm not only positive, I'm also quite realistic. So everything can't be always amazing and right. There are things which are not always that great. But then again, you have to weigh up what are you willing to kind of compromise and what are you looking for and you don't want to compromise on it. So one very maybe obvious thing is family life. I'm no longer single or just with my partner, I'm not going to party all the time anymore. I still want a social life, and meet up with friends for sure. But, I have calmed down a little bit. So family life is very important to me. And I was looking to where could I have this ideal family life. Just to say it's never ideal, but you can work towards it. But yeah, that means that what do I want for my family? I want us to spend time in nature. I want a good work-life balance. And it's not perfect either here. I can get really busy. And during the week, the majority of time is spent at work for my partner because I'm still on parental leave. But once I get into working again as well, it is not very different maybe from other countries. You just work during the week. But what I find quite good is here that things are either like finishing on time and you have time to look after your kids. It requires a little bit of organization and it is by all means not always the easiest, but I think there is a sense of a very good work-life balance here in Sweden, and that's quite important because then you can work with that in your own life. And then just in general, I was imagining exploring Sweden. It is a beautiful country. There is a lot of nature, I mentioned already. There is a lot of things to explore. The country is really big. It has a lot of water as well. So yeah, and I think that is definitely one of the reasons why I wanted to come here. And we haven't, in 1.5 years we live here now, haven't explored as much. So there is still a lot to explore. Already around Stockholm, it's very beautiful, and I think there will be many years to come where we can explore Sweden. I don't think it gets boring that quickly here. One thing which could be quite negative, but you know, if you do really think about it, you can transform it into a positive way. It's the language. It is quite challenging. I mean, the majority here speaks English, so that definitely helps a lot with your day-to-day life. But eventually you want to learn the language. It can be quite tricky, you know, I'm in the middle of learning it and it's tough, you know. It takes some time as well. But it's what I think about it is you know, I can engage my brain. I can keep my brain healthy with kind of wiring new neurons in my brain. So that's one thing why I see it very positive. And then my kids, I mentioned that as well, can learn Swedish, and they have the opportunity to just learn another language. And then we bought a house in Sweden. It had its challenges, I would say. We definitely, you know, it was not easy to have also our contract in Swedish, for example. It was very new to us, but we can not compare it so much with other countries, at least not the process of buying it, although the information is out there, what is needed in other countries to buy a house. I imagined that before I came here that this is possible, although I find Sweden in general quite expensive. I mentioned that a few times. Buying a house or a property is still quite affordable compared, for example, to the UK, at least around London or in London. That is quite expensive. And here you have the feeling you get more for the same amount of money. Obviously now the property market looks a bit different. So it always depends, but then interest rates are also higher. Bloody blah, there's always something. So you can see it can be something bad. I could talk about it, why, you know, circumstances, or although it has less to do with Sweden, but with the world, what's going on. But I still see it quite positively. Being able to buy a house, obviously, that makes life easier, I think, here in Sweden, because it is a little bit harder to find a rental property, at least if you also don't have that much money. But I don't know, money rules the world sometimes. Obviously you do have to think about how you can manage, you know, moving to another country that costs money. I moved a few times and I know that moving to another country is not cheap. It doesn't matter how much you know, kind of organize it, and even if your company like supports you financially, it's just another experience to move to a country, and then the first months you have, etc, etc. So just to bear that in mind, that's why I'm mentioning it here, I would say. And then there's also making new friends. Something people mention so many times is actually not that great here in Sweden. And again, am I too positive? Am I too naive? But you know, you do have to put some effort in making friends or meeting some other people, in my opinion. You cannot just go outside the door and expect people to like talk to you and want to be your friend. That's my opinion. And I'm sure it depends also what kind of person you are. And some people make friends easier than others. I do believe in general that you have to put effort into some things. And of course, sometimes I think, oh, why is that not working, you know, and why is this not working? But normally then I kind of reset and say like, okay, then I have to try again or try something else. So maybe it's just me in general seeing life a little bit in a positive way. And again, by all means, it's not always easy, you know, but I just feel life is quite short and it is better to see it more positively than negatively. But seeing it realistic as well is also part of my life. But I also like that Sweden gives you the possibility to slow down a little bit. You know, you really can move outside of any city and live a quite remote life if you like to. And the Swedish culture also gives you a bit of opportunity to have this more chill out life. I have experienced that quite a bit, you know, I think it's in the Scandinavian nature that, you know, living so close to nature, maybe to just take out some time for yourself and slow down and be calm. And I like that, and it's just here, so I think that's positive. These were my thoughts before I moved to Sweden, and also we made these things happen. But I also can talk a little bit about what is not that great here in Sweden, because it is not all positive, for sure. So what aspects are not so great or difficult here in Sweden? It is not all rosy, and I want to talk to you about it as well, because I am realistic and there are things which make it hard sometimes. And one thing is the language. I already talked to you about how positive it is actually to learn a new language, but at the same time, it is also a bit of a barrier when you move to a country in general. I had some awkward moments where I actually also tried to talk in Swedish a little bit to my neighbors, and then they say something back and I don't understand. Just makes me aware that I still have to go a long way. By the way, my daughter just woke up and she's sitting now on the floor whilst I'm recording, so if you hear any noises, that's her. But back to the language, and I can also see that as much as I'm happy that my kids will actually speak Swedish, it's harder for me in kindergarten and probably later in school to have conversations with, you know, the teachers or with other parents. Not that I can't speak English, but you know, I feel like they always have to get out of their usual habitat and then explain it to me or to us. So yeah, language barrier is a real thing, but it's something you can work on, even if it takes quite a long time. And I mentioned that already, and I know some people say it's maybe not the case, but I find Sweden really expensive. Yes, if you maybe live very up north, it is not that expensive. I don't know, I haven't done that yet. But job opportunities a lot are also in Stockholm, and we cannot move away from Stockholm because my partner has his job here, and it's very important that he is here physically. So even if he works a little bit from home every now and then, he has to go into the office, and the office is in Stockholm. So I know that people sometimes say, don't live in Stockholm, but the opportunities sometimes are greater here in Stockholm. So but some people can just simply not choose. And then I find it very expensive here. For example, when I compare it to Germany, it is also getting more and more expensive, but still, like going to the groceries, things like that, is just a little bit more expensive here. So I feel we still have to earn quite a bit to make a good living here. So that could be a problem for some people. And you know, I also have to go back to work and earn money. So there will be some challenges. So it's not all rosy, but I remain positive. I cannot see it just as a negative. I need to see it as an opportunity as well. And then there is a big topic people talk about, and it's a political issue here in Sweden, but it's about the crime, the gangs, and the gang gun shootings. That is definitely an issue here in Sweden. There's obviously nothing I can deny or whatever. It is there. I mean, crime exists in the world, you know. I think you barely find a city or a country where there's no crime. But obviously I also would love not to have any crime and move to a country where the crime is to the lowest. And unfortunately in the past years or maybe decade, Sweden was not the best, you know, and it's true. Am I compromising with that? I don't know. It's happening. It hasn't happened to me. I obviously hope it will never happen to me. And I really, really hope that also Sweden gets better, you know, that they're working on it. But maybe that's a good thing about Sweden in general. Like, obviously, if there's a problem, there need to be solutions. But I have the feeling also, from what I've known about Sweden, that they're working on things. Maybe it's not as fast as it should be, you know, they really should concentrate on it. I know in Germany, I talked to my family the other day, there's a similar issue. They're concentrating on it now. So yeah, I'm very aware this is not the best part of Sweden, you know, and it has to be addressed. That's just a realistic thing to say. But you maybe now, after watching this video also, or any other of my videos, you probably get the sense of like, I am quite a positive person, so I don't want to make this a daily worry of mine. But if there are any opportunities I can support the system, then I would definitely do that. All I can say that it is not a current issue around here, or I haven't experienced it, but that doesn't mean it never happens. So my point is that I don't live in fear here in Sweden. I still feel very safe. So yeah, that was just a little bit overview of what I think about living here in Sweden. If my view is too positive or too naive, and you know, what I really think about living here in Sweden, what I imagined life in Sweden would be, and what the reality looks like. I am still a very positive person. I'm very grateful for what I have. I think that won't change. But yeah, having said all of this, I'm always an honest person. So if anything happens, you know, if I have any negative experiences, you will definitely hear them on my channel, because I want to be very transparent of what life in Sweden looks like. And I also apologize that this video just got a little bit louder because of my daughter playing in the background. It's just very unfortunate that she woke up from her nap. I still wanted to finish this video so I can put it out there. By all means, Sweden is not a perfect country, but I can see myself living here for a long time. At the moment, I wouldn't actually know where else to move to, where it could be better for my personal journey. Yes, it is quite rainy and dark outside, you know, it gets very dark early. It's January, it's probably the worst month in the year, where you still have to wait quite a bit for spring to come. And there's nothing like Christmas to look forward to. But as I said earlier, I'm also very grateful. I actually used to live in Singapore for a year, and one thing I really learned from that is that I really appreciate the seasons. So I'm just taking in the colder weather, the less nice weather, but I know it will get better. So there you go, we have a bit of a glimpse into why I'm quite positive about living in Sweden. It's not perfect, and it really depends on who you are and what you're looking for. Everyone is quite unique, so you have to figure out if Sweden is a country for you. And for me, Sweden is very beautiful, and I still have this sense of I really want to explore it. This is like the biggest feeling I have within me. And also I think it's worth maybe even trying to live in Sweden if you're not 100% sure, because I can talk about it as much as I can, you know, and share with you the experience, but it will not be the same like when you come here and live here. And maybe you don't have to stay if you don't like it. If you have the opportunity to move to Sweden, you might have the opportunity to move to another country if it doesn't work out for you. That's also something to bear in mind. Thanks so much for watching till the end. I hope I will see you in my next video. Until then, have a great day and stay safe. Hey do!